You're listening to the You Don't Know Me Yet Podcast Network.
Hey y'all, this is a Daydreamers podcast. I am Erin and my amazing co-host is K'Shana. Let's pick up where we left off last week.
But yeah, I really did think I told our fellow board member and Jennifer the other day, yesterday, or was it last week?
I gotta start coming up there because I don't know what y'all be talking about.
No, okay. So Jennifer has, she creates T-shirts and things. So Jennifer and I decided to open up the gallery on Saturdays because we don't have our own storefront. So whether it's, and lately, like I haven't been selling, like I've been up there, like I've been upgrading my exhibiting pieces and things like that, my setup and stuff. So like I'm up there really just kind of like testing some things out, which is still beneficial to my craft and my ultimate business and things. And I'm still utilizing the space that the organization created it for. One of the reasons why we created that space. So, you know, but Jen been up there selling T-shirts. I've been up there just like, I bought this wig, I got this mannequin. Let's try this stuff out. But anyway, so while we're there, and I told Jen, I said, you're a part of my creative process, because a lot of times I'm up there and I'm putting stuff together. I'm asking her opinion. I'm thinking out loud and all this stuff. But I did share with her during one of these little times we were up there that I was like, I truly, like, I questioned my leadership because I do believe I do good work.
Okay.
I do believe that I am a good asset and I contribute value to the group.
Because you do.
But I just, I got really heated about some shit. And I was saying how one reason why I did get really, first of all, I don't like repeating myself. One. Two, I don't like people asking me a lot of questions, like especially if it's unnecessary, in my opinion. And I don't like people asking me a lot of questions to get to where they need to be. Like, just ask me what you want to know. You're asking me what time you get off. You're asking me, well, what you doing when you get off. You're asking me this. But what you really want to know is
would you like to come to XYZ or what?
Yeah,
whatever.
like just say what it is that you want to know. So don't ask me all these little bit of things. I have to say that to my husband a lot. I'd be like, what is it you want to know? Like, what is it that you want to know? Ask me that versus 10 small questions, and that gets on my nerves, and now I got an attitude. But anyway, so there's that, which is probably just like a me issue, a character issue or something. But yeah, so like I just was like, but then also with what was going on, like, and I'm gonna be transparent with you all, like, so I've been out the game because I had this baby. And so I'm just not being able to truly step back and be active with our organization. And I was one of the founding members. And also, like, I'm over the communications for our organization. So the group is coming back from the pandemic. And then I'm coming back 2 years later after that. You know, so the communications area isn't what it, you know, where it should be. You know, it's not up to par. It's not, you know, the best. And I can admit that. But, and then also it's like within my absence, like people they've been operating as they see fit, which is fine. But now, like, I'm here. And so, like, if I'm setting certain things in motion or whatever, some people weren't receiving it all that well. And then also I'm like, why do I have to tell y'all this? Because see, I do this type of stuff every day at work. So some things are second nature to me. It's common sense to me. It ain't common sense to everybody else. Also, I've never been a part of an organization before. And if I was never a part of building it from the bottom all the way up to the top. I wasn't part of like implementing certain procedures and all this type of stuff, like procedures, policies and stuff like that. So I'm like, I'm still, and I'm open, like I'm still learning. So like I'm all for input and, you know, advice and things like that, because like I'm learning too. I'm finally I had the opportunity to be in a space that I never would have been in before had we not created this group. So if I'm being open and honest and shit, and I'm getting from various people like, basically, the communication is so unorganized. Communication is this. Well, eventually, you can keep saying communication all day, but eventually, to me, it sounded like, Erin, you're unorganized. Erin, you're not doing this. Erin, this ain't right. Erin, this is how we do it. Well, now, this is how it was before, and I have to be like, whoa, I've been here from jump. This is how it is. It's just, you know, this type of thing. So that's kind of what was going on. So I was getting heated for various reasons. and I had to put my foot down on some things, but then I also had to get checked and check myself on some things. But after all that mess, like, and I don't want to say mess like it was a bad thing, just after all that chaos, I'll say, because it was needed. But after all that, I was just thinking back on some things like, well, maybe I just don't need to be here, or maybe I just don't need to work in this capacity, or maybe, and I just really questioned myself. I went down on myself, and I questioned myself, and I even considered not being in the forefront.
There's nothing wrong with self-auditing, and I think you should, and by you, I mean everybody, me too. You should always be like self-auditing, and taking into consideration the feedback that you receive from certain things. Excuse me. And I think you did. I mean, it's a situation, you're working with different people, and, we're not doing we're never going to be doing anything by ourselves, right? Whether that's at work or, outside organizations or whatever, you're always going to have to deal with different types of personalities and stuff like that. So, things are going to get, different. There could be like different kinds of, and sometimes knowledge levels are different and things like that, but it's the way we choose to communicate with each other that makes a difference in the way, in the outcome of those situations.
And then I'm a straightforward person. In some situations, like, I feel like there's no, in some cases, I did not need to sugarcoat or beat around the bush. It needed to be said. And I don't know, I used to work with men, and it was kind of like, Erin, just kind of, I don't know, that's just kind of how it was. My first job out of college, things were kind of just straightforward. Because when I was all considerate and soft and fluffy and this and that, it was just like, it wasn't necessarily an issue, but it was like, don't do that. So like, I'm already like that anyway. But now, like, after working with men after my first year out of college and stuff, like, that's just how I am. So I just get straight to the point on some stuff. Why do we need this whole page of information when I could tell you what needs to be done in like 3-4 sentences and stuff? But like, one thing, I had to set my foot down on something, and I don't know, I was just like, I didn't see where I needed to change up my verbiage. I didn't see it at the time. And I looked for it. I didn't see it, and I needed this to be understood because this you playing me or whatever. And then like,
or you feel like you're getting played. You feel like that.
I said I felt personally attacked on some things.
In the same way that you don't see certain things in your style of communication, the other person very well may not see.
Understandable. Well, they understood when I sent that last message, but and I feel like you wasn't hearing me. If I'm telling you don't do this and you're saying no, you have it wrong, it needs to be done, and I'm like, whoa, y'all the one who said y'all wanted me back in this role, and I'm doing my shit, and you gonna tell me I'm doing this shit wrong? No, the fuck I'm not. Don't do it. Have a good day. I feel like it needed to be said at that time because she wasn't listening to me. She wasn't.
And I know it could be like, it's frustrating when you don't feel heard, or when like, again, like, you don't feel heard in any situation, whether that's in a relationship, organization, work, whatever, that shit gets on your nerves. It's frustrating. It's like, no, like, I'm saying this, and especially when you feel like maybe like you feel like you're saying things as plain as day, but sometimes that may not be the truth. In the same way, that goes for other people too. When it comes to certain environments like work, organizations, things like that, I think we all have to, and I'm saying all because it's everybody, we all have to be mindful of where we are and what we're doing. If we at work, we at work. I'm not going to talk to you. And it doesn't matter what the fuck I may feel like, because I've had some incidences at work where there's some shit that went a certain way that was very personal, and it was definitely personal attacks and definitely some shit and threats and things like that. But I'm at work, and also I'm in a leadership role at work, so I had to handle it like I'm in a leadership role at work. It didn't matter what I wanted to do or what I really wanted to say or what I truly felt. That's not your business, because we're at work. What I truly feel and how little of a fuck I give about you or whatever that thing may be, that's none of your business because we at work. You will never know. And at least not during your tenure.
Right.
Like, you will never know. Not during
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're back.
my tenure here. Like, that's not, whatever. It will never come across a certain type of way. And whether I'm justified in it or not, you will never know, because that's the way that it works when you're in professional environments and you're in a leadership role. And it doesn't matter if that person is a subordinate or maybe it's a colleague, you're on the same level or whatever. It's not for them to know. So when we need to accomplish things or get certain things done, even when we don't feel heard, even if the other person was clearly wrong, and they were clearly wrong or whatever, or you were personally attacked, or it doesn't matter because of the type of environment that you're in.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Nah, it's an upward inflection. Go ahead. But it don't matter. It doesn't matter. And I'm not saying don't defend yourself or don't say what needs to be said. I'm saying it doesn't matter in a way of you can't just you can't. You have to find a better way to do it, to express yourself.
After this exchange went down, this all happened in our board member group chat. And actually I've bumped heads with two people, not in a bad way, like it was a fight, but just
difference of opinion
with two people on two just separate occasions and things. But it's just funny that, like, after all that, K'Shana and the homie Vitus, because Vitus is the vice president, Vitus is the president, K'Shana is the vice president. But after all that, I'm listening to, like, Vitus and K'Shana, and we're talking about what happened and this and that, how it got to this point, we need to go forward. They're both like, just, we need to, like, talk to people with grace and this, all that type of.
Yes.
But this is me. I did.
You didn't.
But I did.
But you didn't.
They're like, just, we need to think about the other. And I said, but I did. You know
didn't.
how many times I typed and deleted what I was going to say? I did it like
Let me
6
tell you
times.
something real quick.
I did. I tried really hard.
We try certain things, and although we may try and we didn't do what we could have did, that doesn't make what it is that we're doing all right or acceptable. That's kind of like, well, somebody robbing you is like, man, you lucky I just pistol whipped you. I could have killed you. That don't make the shit okay. It's lesser than you murdering somebody, but you still beat and rob somebody. Okay. Like, that's like, that's still fucked up. It's a different level of fucked up, but it's still fucked up. Like, so it's kind of like when we say, well, I should have cussed you out, or I could have cussed you out, but I said this and this and this instead, when you really said the same thing just without the profanity. And it's still in the same tone. That's not better. It's still fucked up. You just didn't cuss. Like, we gotta be in this situation. If it's like a regular ass situation, you grown, they grown, and it has nothing to do with business or any kind of work or anything like that. If you want to talk to somebody like that, or however it is you want to talk to them, or whatever, that's on you and your body and your individual self as an adult person. But when it has to do, again, with work or any kind of professional setting, organizations, it's not just you. So even though we may have not said exactly or done exactly what we wanted to do, and we did something different or lesser, it still doesn't make it acceptable. It doesn't. And I'm saying acceptable. I don't mean acceptable by K'Shana's standards. I mean acceptable in general. So we have to be really mindful of that.
I don't have a medium. I thought I did, but apparently I don't. So for me, it's just like, okay, let me just not say nothing. But then it's like, in some cases, in another situation like a previous job or whatever, and I wasn't in no leadership role there, but something happened. I can't remember what it was, and I was just like, okay, I'm just going to chill and take a step back because I'm not being received well. I don't know. I really felt like the people was sensitive. But anyway.
And see, that's another thing. Like, I've been called sensitive before. You call me what the fuck you want to, you going to respect me. So it's people use that as a negative connotation. So people will say that, but they're really being sleek. So I'm not saying you are. I'm not saying you are.
But
people will do that and be like, oh, well, you just sensitive because I won't let you talk to me any kind of way.
I know one
The
situation.
fuck
It was
I look like? I
remember-
you comment whatever you want to, but you're not finna talk to me no kind of way.
this girl I work with was like, and she was a young girl, but like I'm sure it was her because she was the only person. She was new, and like I think everybody might have been like, I don't know, like I spoke to her and I talked to her, but like was I just like, hey girl, how was your day? Da, da, da. No, like I was talking to like the girl who sat next to me. Like me and her was coworkers and we were friends. There was another girl there. We were coworkers and friends, and everybody else like we were good coworker associate type deal. But like I guess I don't know, she wasn't feeling all the love from me. And I remember my direct supervisor was talking to me about that, and I was just like, what the fuck? I gotta ask her what she ate today. Like, are you serious? You gonna make me be friends with this girl?
No, you don't. I don't.
So sometimes it's like that, and I'm like,
it's like, no, you don't have
I ain't speaking
to
to no goddamn
do
body.
the extra. Like, I don't think that you shouldn't have to do the fucking most with people at all, just to like cater.
Like, I speak to who I want
to their stuff. If you're being like just generally decent and you're being, you're being like, you're kind.
Yeah.
You're kind and you're nice. You're not going out of the way to show fake concern or whatever. You don't have to. I don't think you have to. I think if you can just be cordial, because again, professional environment, you can just be cordial.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that should be enough. But I don't know. I don't know what that was about, because that being cordial should have been enough.
I don't know. But what I was, that led into something else. But what I was saying before, like at the same particular job, I can't remember what happened, but whatever it was, like I just kind of took a step back and I wasn't as vocal about some things. And so my direct supervisor was like, no, Erin, like we still want you to be yourself.
You should be able to still express concerns, but questions.
It might not even been like, it might have been like on Fridays we might have had like a game day before we opened up or something. You know, it might have just been something like that. And they were like, but see, now you're quiet and you're not saying anything. And I'm like, well, what do you want? What do you want from me? Show up, but show up like this for game day. Like, I can't do it. And then at the same particular job, I had a different manager, and I remember him telling me like, these people around here, like they look up to you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He was like, you don't see how people, like everybody kind of adjusts to your attitude. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because one of the girls I was cool with was a total bitch. I mean, that was my friend though. She didn't want to be there. She had an attitude, and it was evident. Like, I was like, what I do ain't messing. It's not. She's not adjusting to me. She's still her regular bitchy self that don't want to be here.
You know, I've been told that even prior to being in a leadership role is not at the place that I'm in now, and I was like, really in my mind, I'm like, fuck, they got to do with me. What they got to do with me? What is that? Especially if I'm not in a leadership role, and also I'm not doing anything wrong, and you're trying to use me to control the tone in the room because, you know, just because when I walk through the door, the mood is what I make it. That's like, you don't. That's you can't. Yeah, I get it, and it's the Aries thing. I really feel like, because we don't have no choice but to be leaders, because we just are.
Are we?
We walk in and are. How many times have you walked in a building and like you just are?
But see, I don't be aware of that stuff. It takes somebody else to be like, girl, when you walked in this room, and I was like, girl, when I walked in this room, I was trying to get my sock from sliding down in my shoe.
And you know I don't say shit to people.
So like, this piece of meat out my molar.
Like that's enough apparently. I don't know. I think it's like an energy thing sometimes. You know, and I be quiet, but people they like read it or whatever, and it just depends. It depends. It depends. So when I say that from before, when I was saying like always, it just is. You were born like this, and so was I.
Like my mama say that too.
If y'all didn't know, we both Aries,
stuff like that.
So we were. It just kind of is. I'm just like, okay, well, you can do this, and you can do this, or here's a suggestion. Da 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 da. And we may do it in a different way. Like, it's so funny. Like, we're both that way, but our communication style, Erin and I's communication styles are completely different.
And I like yours.
But things are called. I think different situations call for different things, though.
And see, I'm the same.
Certain situations might call for the way that I normally communicate normally. Because I have been perceived a certain type of way, and I have to reel that shit in because it can get the way it can get real fast. But
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're back.
some things may call for the way that you choose to communicate, because it's not bad or negative. It's just different.
Well, see, that's the other thing, because I can see how we have different ways of communicating and thinking and executing things, whatever. But with me, it's always negative, which is why, whenever it's me,
Who told you that?
Girl, who hasn't? Every job,
I mean,
every manager.
it's the situation.
It's always like change. It's always like every friend group. Like, it's always whatever I'm doing is always negative. So that's one reason why I'm always like, well, damn, maybe I don't maybe I don't need to be a leader. Maybe I need to step back.
I think
because whatever I'm doing is, instead of saying it's different, it's always like it's wrong.
Different doesn't always mean negative. And just because something, and this is just generally speaking, just because something is different than the way that you would have done it, or I would have done it, or we're talking to the people, you, listener, would have done it, doesn't always make that thing negative or bad or wrong. It could just be different than what you would have done. It's just another way of doing things or another way of saying things. Now, depending on the situation, like we were saying before, professional environments and things, certain forms of communication could be deemed wrong. In the same way, you say I don't really sugarcoat things. I don't think I sugarcoat things. I just say them in a different way. And I'm not really beating around the bush either, but I just say it in a different way. Sometimes that's called for, where sometimes that may not be received well, where they need a more super, super, super direct, form of communication. And that doesn't make mine wrong. Yeah. It just means that situation was not appropriate for it.
And sometimes when I can say this, it doesn't matter in any situation, whether it's friend, work, anything in between, besides the poor. Like, if I'm struggling to find a pretty way or a certain way to say what's on my mind, if I'm just doing too much, I'm just like, okay, this is what it is. And then I just end up, I don't just say it to and it hurts your feelings, but just whatever it is, it's still kind of in its raw state a little bit.
Well, I had to learn that. It's a learned skill. Think about when we were little, right? Or think about not even just when we were little, just little ass kids. You know how people will be like, well, kids will say any damn thing, or kids are mad honest, or like kids say, they'll tell you if you stink, they'll tell you whatever. Kids, that learning how to communicate based on the situation is a learned skill. Kids don't know how to do that. That's why whatever it is they say is exactly what it is that they're feeling or experiencing right then. They're not trying to. They don't usually know how to tailor it. Yeah, I ain't even gonna say filter it, because the message can still be the same. It's just the way that you give it. That's a learned skill. So a lot of times, you'll see, even right now, I'll slow down the way that I'm speaking, because I want to be clear about what it is that I'm saying and how I'm saying it, and trying to find the best way to say it. Even sometimes y'all see on YouTube, I'm not always looking directly at the camera when I'm talking, because I'm trying to. Yeah. I'm thinking, of whatever. It's a skill, and it's like exercising. The more you do it, and practice it, the easier it'll become, just like anything else. And when you said the thing about the friend group or whatever, this is something I experienced too. We got to be mindful of the way people prefer to be as well. And you know what? And honor that, because you want people to honor that with you.
How you want me to talk to you? Since how I'm talking or however I'm delivering whatever it is an issue. How you want me to talk now?
But you have to,
because I say it how you want me to say this to you?
Yeah, that's even that. You have to be well, hey, what what would be the best way? Because I'd like to say these things, and I'm trying to work on communicating more effectively with you, and I don't want to come across as negative or insulting or whatever. In the same way, if there was something, on your end, you want to be communicated with in a certain way. We all do. We all have, you know, whatever, like, hey, don't call me that, or don't call me this, or don't talk to me like this, or volume, or, you know, tone, whatever. We all have different preferences. So if that does become an issue or something, and that's friendship, relationship, or whatever, like, just say, well, hey, what is this? Not like, what is this? But, you know, you just kind of figure it out and, like, actually listen and apply what it is that they would actually prefer, if you care to still be friends with them or be whatever it is with them. I think, again, like, the exercise is like a muscle. You got that filter muscle or whatever. It's a fine-tuned instrument. The more you practice it, the better you're going to get. Because some shit you just don't need to tell them either, in general. Some shit, and sometimes you learn by default. Especially when you I would say in new relationships and our relationships, because people change every fucking day. We all change. Everybody get different. You know, whatever. So you're constantly learning each other, and learning what you can and cannot. You know, and some shit they just don't fucking need to know, because that'll be like a whole. And it's not keeping anything from them. It's just like, would this be beneficial? Like, I already, you know, all right, you know, and like, so some you know what, when telling your significant other or a friend or whatever a story, you know what shit to leave in and you know what shit to leave out.
Like, Larry can tell me his stories of back in the gap,
but you
of
can't
his whole days, but his dog whole days, I can't, because he can't and
it don't even have to be a whole day. It could be something about just somebody else, like you just being in a relationship with somebody else. We
know them old football players,
bruh, and like everybody's an adult person, right? And it don't even got to be like a whole phase or whatever.
Dog day.
Since we have jumped, but I like it. We're gonna stay here. But like, so you get in a relationship with somebody, or you're married to somebody, or whatever. Y'all are grown. Y'all were grown before y'all met each other, and y'all still grown. Everybody has lived a life. Whatever. If y'all are discussing certain things about past things, or like, oh, this happened, certain experiences or sexual experiences or whatever, and then it's like you're trying to tell a story and they cannot fucking handle it. What is that? What is that? What is that? Because you know I'm not a virgin, right?
Girl,
you know how to fuck on somebody before, right? Like, and they don't want to hear. I don't know.
Tell me.
And don't ask me if I know somebody. You know I know biblically. Let's not.
And then I tell you, and
you don't want to. You can't deal with it. The line is that I don't give a fuck, because we weren't together. And as long as you got tested, this nigga's lying. But okay, lies and fucking deception, lies and gay rumors. You are lying. You want me to tell you so you can use this as ammunition?
Just because every time you see a chick, you fuck her, don't mean that I.
Because y'all don't look at women as people, just things to fuck. Like, that's also different.
Anyway, child,
I be talking like I don't even know if I like niggas for real or not, because I told my brother that I was like, I don't even know if I really like y'all like that, because like y'all thought process be like. So when I don't know what that is, and I know we don't have like a lot of male listeners, but this is something that.
Well, we do have some male listeners.
We do. So male listeners, male people who are males,
people with penises,
people with because I know most of the women, we have gone through this either with a current or a past person, where y'all are talking, y'all just talking shit, you know, you just talking about things that have happened or experienced or whatever. But when it's your turn, and it don't be any different than what that other person has said, than the male has said, if you're in a male female relationship or male shit, whatever kind of relationship, the partner can't fucking deal with the fact that you did not descend from the earth and come and just land on their porch pure as the driven snow and immaculately, you know, untainted white, as like the Mary herself. Girl. What? You knew this, but they can't take hearing. It could have been like the most mundane, mild.
You don't need to hear everything.
No, and I'm not saying tell them everything, because that's not their business. And this is not like, oh, trading body count, because who the fuck does that? It's not that. And also, if they asking, you need to leave them alone.
Right.
But y'all do need to have a conversation about testing.
Right. But
always have that. And please have that beforehand. Have that before. Don't be like, oh yeah, no. But y'all need to have that beforehand. Be safe out here, folks. But that's the conversation. But like, if y'all are just trading stories because y'all are like actually friends and like each other, and y'all are talking, and you see that partner can't handle that, Can somebody, if you are that person that can't handle
Don't ask.
knowing what, can you tell us what that is?
Let me tell you this. Can
you tell us
like
why?
when me and Larry get to talking about his old days, because I like knowing stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I just want to know. Like, it's cool. Like, I don't,
like,
you
look,
know, clearly.
He was telling me about like when I said something to him about like having girls wait for him outside of his locker room. He told me a story of how it was multiple girls that showed up at the same time. One wearing his shirt, one having a belly, one having this at the same time. And so I enjoy those stories. However, I don't need to know that one had a pregnant belly. I don't need to know that the other person drove this type of car. I don't need to know identifying factors.
Like details.
I don't need to know identifying factors. Everybody needs to be them Looney Tunes adults where it's just their feet. I don't need to, like, so when he's telling stories, I'll be like, tell me. Like, I think it's funny. Like, one time his homeboy was over at the house and we were all sitting there talking, and like Larry was telling a story about, like, it don't matter what it was about, but some big fight happened. And he with the football players and like some local guys and stuff at the club. And the reason why he wasn't there is because his freshman year he was a loner, and this girl had hit him up that he was trying to kick it with, and so he went by her to get some. And so he was like, what did he say? He was like, yeah, well, he's like, baby, I ain't trying to piss you off, but he was trying to say I was finna go get, and I was like, you went to go get some pussy? Yes. Go on with the story. Okay. I just don't need to know her hair color. I don't need to know her. I don't need to know no identifying factors.
I know you smashed people before.
You was fucking hard and fucking well, sir. I'm aware. Okay. I just don't need to know what dorm they was in. I don't need to know where they came, what city they from. If they, I don't need to know nothing.
Yeah, it's
that
just
will pinpoint
it's what it is. But like, even like with the most vague details, they a lot of times, because this is not everybody, they can't handle it. Mm-hmm. They can't handle no. And I'm like, I don't understand. I don't get it, because you know that something happened. Like, you know, and also you feel comfortable telling me XYZ, but you can't take. And it's just a story. Like, it's not. And it's not like, oh, yeah, you know, there was 12 of them. And such. No, it ain't nothing wild like that.
Girl, let me tell you. Like, when I was talking about.
No judgment. If that's what you want to do that. Be safe, though.
My first boyfriend that my mom acknowledges my boyfriend. I was like, we used to go downstairs and make out during offering because he's from church. So I had posted that clip on my stories. And I was like, oh my God, we used to go downstairs and we used to make out during offering. He gonna message me talking about you doing too much. I said, dude, that's the 10th grade, Larry. I'm like, Larry, was in the 10th grade. And I'm talking about making out. Making out. Who even says making out?
They can't take it.
I said making out in the 10th grade.
They can't take
with
it.
The guy with my boyfriend from church who was popular at his school. So he probably had a girlfriend at school.
And you just didn't know about it.
And I'm his girlfriend.
You know how
we
that
go to
should
church
go.
together. Exactly. Talking about you doing too much, nigga. You
10th
got a
grade.
whole kid. Shut
10th grade.
up.
Oh, they
up.
don't care. They don't see any kind of a difference, and I don't get it. Why is it not? They don't get it. They don't get it. Some of them don't get it. Let me make sure I'm being very clear.
Okay.
And not being generalized, but like a lot of them just don't fucking get it. We win.
Okay, we off. But let me circle back real quick. I want to bring this up. What is your definition of an alpha female? Somebody referred to me, actually Eva, our girlfriend Eva, referred to me as an alpha female. Now, this was after the whole situation with the board, and I was just thought I was being me, clear and concise, straight to the point, me. But she was like, "You're an alpha female," and I was like, "I don't even know what that is." Like, I'm like, I don't. How am I alpha?
I think you'd have
I
to
don't see
ask
that.
her what her definition of that is.
But I'm curious
because
as to you. Like, what?
I don't have a definition of that, because alpha anything has been tainted by these niggas on the internet. So I don't have a definition of an alpha female or an alpha male or alpha that is like referring to
I don't even use
animals.
those terms. If I use alpha, it's for alpha phi alpha.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I don't really have any.
1906. Oh, 6.
Yeah, so when I was cleaning out my deceased father's room after he passed, there's a lot of alpha stuff in there. And I was like,
girl, my mama was an alpha angel.
Where did this come from? What? I was like, I don't think, but I know he, but I don't think. Anyway, we'll have to. Anyway, yeah.
But yeah,
his brothers are cute though.
Yeah, he nasty.
He
got a lot of kids.
He has just.
He nasty.
He got some children.
He nasty.
He's also a pastor.
We like them cues, girl.
Or
you can still be nasty and be a pastor at the same time.
You ain't never lied. I've seen some pastors. Yeah, they're people too.
They are.
Pastors are people.
They are. But yeah, I don't really have a definition of alpha female, but that's still something that I never saw myself as, and I was just like, does that mean take charge? Well, anyway, that's all I really have for today. Any church announcements?
No.
Okay. I host Creative Convos every first Friday at the Sugar Gallery. That's at 131 Art Alley in Monroe, Louisiana. It's a Black Creative Circle of North Louisiana event, but it's my event. Yes. I host it. Come through. It's curated conversations.
Are you claiming it now?
I mean, I always low key kind of
like really? I always said. I was like, you literally like it's your thing. Like,
well, I mean,
you
like,
ain't claiming it, like
because it's the organization's thing.
Yeah, it is, but
it's mine.
Yeah, like you come up.
Yeah, like
it's cool. Like, so if y'all are around and you are, you don't even have to be a member.
No, you don't. Right, it's open to any and everybody.
Yeah, you should totally come by. It's really good conversation.
Yeah, it's curated conversations and about art and creativity in everyday life. So, and I think I need to go back and change up the verbiage because some people were thinking that it's about art as in like technique, like we're talking about painting styles and stuff. No, that's usually for like the individual medium for the meetups and stuff. It depending on how many people are there, the conversation can go anywhere. First Fridays at 6:30. Come through. We start the discussions at 7. I give y'all time to get off work, drop the kids off, whatever. And if you have to bring your baby, bring them because the poor will be there with a Johnny's pizza box.
She's gonna be
and her floor pillow until my husband come pick her up.
And y'all, if you can, that's also something we did. Junior pointed out to us last time, and thank you, Junior, because it's something that we did not consider. We always telling y'all, and by we usually is me, but both of us always telling y'all to go to therapy if you can, if it's accessible to you. Go to therapy, and if you cannot find any access, depending on where you live, please check with your various state agencies to see what services they may be able to offer for little to no cost to you when it comes to receiving those types of services.
Did I tell you I got a new therapist?
Check with your insurance to see who's in your network or if that's covered in your network, what your copay would be. Check with your employer because depending on where you work, sometimes that may be covered and you don't have a copay, period. Because depending on where you work, like if you work somewhere like cool, like Google or something like that, a lot of the times they're very forward thinking and they know, again, a happy employee is a more productive employee.
Most
and they
definitely. And a paid employee too.
Yeah, like they'll pay for like 6 sessions or something like that. Mm-hmm. So just depending, there are ways. It would be really cool if we could, like, I don't know where y'all are listening from. Apparently we're big in Canada. Did I say Canada?
Sometimes we have a listener in Brazil.
Y'all be like, we're big in Brazil, y'all. I don't know how to say hey to y'all because I don't speak Portuguese, but yeah,
that's the language in Brazil.
Thank you. Yeah, Portuguese. Yeah,
I have no clue.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. I don't think it's Ola because it's just Spanish, so I don't know, but. Thank you for listening, and please leave us comments. Please write us. We would absolutely love to answer your questions if you have any listener letters or whatever. Yeah, just email us at ADaydreamersPodcast at gmail. Or if you want us to be anonymous, please email us. Or like you can inbox us on TikTok as well if you don't want to use the email. Just
TikTok,
inbox
Instagram,
us on
Facebook,
TikTok.
All of
that. All of it. Just inbox us. That's fine. And just put like listener letter or whatever. I don't know what we're going to call it, but
I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, leave comments. We love to see y'all's feedback on our stuff and like and share.
Yeah, hit us up at find me at Love Erin AD everywhere. That's on Pinterest and Flickr, and Crafty Mother Lovers on Etsy. Shop, get you some fabulous headpieces, my dear.
They're wonderful. Please do. And you can find me at KHG Studios on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and khgstudios.com as well. I will be updating my website soon.
Follow the pod at A Daydreamers Podcast everywhere, and see y'all later.
Deuces.
Bye.
I think that went very well.
I think it did.